Last week, a former Facebook employee and whistleblower testified on Capitol Hill in response to a Wall Street Journal report about Instagram's negative impact on teens' mental health. Frances Haugen says that the company's own internal research shows that at least 5% of teenagers are addicted to Instagram. Facebook has publicly criticized Haugen's testimony. However, in response, the company's vice president of global affairs recently announced that Instagram will have a new feature that prompts teenagers to take a break. For more, I want to bring in Josh Golan. He is the executive director of Fair Play, a children's media and marketing watchdog. Josh, great to have you with us. So several nonprofits are now banding together to try and, quote, effectively end Facebook's current business model. What is it about the way that Facebook makes money that really needs to change?
Well, I think the big thing is that Facebook's big business model relies on keeping kids on their devices and on the Facebook platforms as long as possible. And in order to do that, it serves them the content that will most likely keep them on Facebook or on Instagram. And often that content isn't good for them because Facebook's algorithms don't care about what's good for kids. They only care about what's good for Facebook's bottom line. So ultimately, we need to change this business model. That means the more time you spend on a platform consuming harmful content, the more money Facebook makes.
And we know that this isn't true exclusively for children. It's also true for adults. But your company, Fair Play, has really focused on children and actually was instrumental in getting Facebook to pause development of its Instagram Kids app. Tell us about that campaign.
Sure. So in March, Facebook, it was revealed that Facebook was planning a version of Instagram for younger children. And so we sent a letter signed by over 100 leading child development experts asking Facebook not to do this. We were joined by lawmakers in Washington. 44 state attorneys general wrote to Facebook and said, don't do this. Don't go ahead with this. This is an incredibly harmful idea. And more than 250,000 parents have said the same thing to Facebook. So basically what we've been trying to do is make clear that this is something that nobody who cares about children, nobody who's not on Facebook's payroll thinks this is a good idea. It's incredibly harmful. If Instagram is toxic for teens, imagine what it's going to be like for 6, 7, and 8-year-olds who are even less developmentally ready to handle the idea of posting pictures of yourself and uploading them so that others can rate what those pictures look like. The design of Instagram is just completely at odds with what young children need, and so we think this is a terrible idea. We're glad they paused it. Now they need to pull the plug altogether.
And in the past 2 weeks, both the Facebook whistleblower, Frances Haugen, and Facebook's global head of safety, Antigone Davis, testified on Capitol Hill. What stood out to you about their testimonies, and what specific concerns did you have following that?
Well, I think with Ms. Davis's testimony from Facebook, I think what was very clear is that Facebook does not take these issues seriously. They see this as a PR problem, and they want to try and make the bad PR that they've gotten over the last few weeks go away without actually addressing the fundamental underlying problems. With Ms. Hogan's testimony, I think what was so clear is that there are a lot of good people that work within Facebook that have done really important research and brought that research to senior leadership at Facebook that says, hey, let's take a look at the way this Instagram is affecting teens' mental health and well-being. Let's take a look at the fact that it's, kids are being exposed to pro-eating disorder content, and it's making eating disorders worse and suicidal ideation worse. And that was ignored by key leadership at Facebook. I think that's the big key takeaway is that they have the evidence. The evidence was brought to the people that make decisions at Facebook, and they buried it.
And as you point out, Josh, this was their own internal research that we were learning this information from. And it was we learned about it because it was leaked. So I'm wondering, do you think that these social media companies can, in fact, adjust their current platforms to become safer, both for children and for all of us who use it and perhaps get caught in those cycles of the algorithms that make us feel badly about ourselves and compare our lives to others? Or is this really the sort of situation that it's baked into the DNA of these organizations and when it comes to kids really can't be changed?
I think it is baked into the DNA. And, I think that's why we need to keep pressuring the companies to make changes, but we can't rely on the companies to do this on their own. We need better regulation. We need better rules to protect children online. The only rule that we have protecting children online was passed in 1998, before social media even existed, before anybody had a smartphone. So we need to update the regulations. We may need to make it off limits to these companies to do some of the things that they're doing when it comes to children, because ultimately their responsibility and their concerns are to their shareholders, and it's up to regulators to put brakes on that. And so there's some really good proposals in Congress right now that would do just that. And, we need to keep pressuring companies like Facebook, but ultimately it's up to lawmakers to protect our children.
And of course, all of us as well. And that leads me to my last question, because I understand that you're trying to keep your own 12-year-old daughter off of social media. I wonder, how's that working for you? How does she feel about it, and how long are you expecting that to last?
I don't know how long it's going to last. We'll keep riding this as until it, she's demanding it, and we feel like ultimately, the harms of keeping her off and isolating her from her peers are worse than the harms that would be on social media. But right now, it's going really well. We've raised her very light on screen time from day one, and I think that's allowed her to develop inner resources where when she's bored, she doesn't naturally just look to a screen for entertainment. But also, we've talked a lot to her parents in our community. And so there are other kids who are not on social media. And ultimately, I think that's probably what has to happen in terms of parents, is we need to parent together, because, it's really hard to be the only kid who's not on social media, but it's a lot easier if you're one of a peer group that's not on social media. And so I think that parenting as a community is what might make the difference.
Josh Golan, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.